Hey Facebook, it's another Thursday. I wanted to talk a little bit today about balance, as I put in there, as we both in our lives and as we look at reopening the state. The governor's press conference today was a lot about that reopening process, which requires us to hold sort of, two concepts at the same time, which is protecting public health and also bringing our economy back so that people can have financial security and meaningful work again. And that requires us, none of these answers it's not binary. It's not a choice between one or the other. We have to do both at the same time. And I think that's true for a lot of how we live our lives today, because it requires us to both deal with a lot of emotionally and financially stressful issues, as well as, I see incredible acts of power and generosity around me in our community every day. And it's not a choice between those two concepts. They're the same thing. And how we manage that is tricky sometimes. And I had a conversation earlier this week with Maria Coutan-Skinner, who runs McCall Behavioral Health in Torrington, about how we manage that process, especially Maria and the people who work at McCall who are helping people through addiction and through some serious crises in their lives, and we, she is great at using both humor and compassion and warmth. And so we were talking a little bit about all these stories about the rats in urban settings, which don't have enough human garbage to forage on anymore, so they're emerging out into public view in a way they haven't before, as they search around for things, and about how she is, with her staff in particular, use that as a metaphor for how a lot of the negative things that we deal with are now sort of escaping sideways, and this pandemic has opened up things that were already happening within us but are now escaping, and we have to acknowledge that and deal with that, while at the same time, being positive and cheerful and hopeful and addressing our work. And particularly, I know that in my own family, my husband or my kids come in to tell me a story, and I'm looking at my watch saying, you got 15 seconds to tell it. If you can't tell me in 15 seconds, can you move on? I got another call. And it's not their fault. While at the same time, I have some incredibly positive things about and that I can feel good about the work that is happening and that how we help people. And, Maria in particular told me, her people working with her are dealing with incredibly stressful situations. On the other hand, the morale amongst her organization has never been higher. So there is that yin and yang of this, which is dealing with painful things and sometimes taking it out on people who have done nothing to deserve that, while at the same time, being selfless and generous and powerful in the way we help other people in our lives. And part of that is that this pandemic in particular has meant that many of us who aren't used to asking for help and pride ourselves on being independent and being able to tough through things are suddenly find ourselves in positions where you do need to ask for help, and to remember that asking for help is actually a powerful thing to do. It's not it is a first step towards solving a problem, and it is acknowledging that and reaching out and finding resources can be a very affirming thing. And so I wanted to highlight just a few a few sources of help that I wanted to make sure people know about. One is for victims of family violence. People living at home, often in close quarters, unfortunately has created an uptick in family violence. And we want to make sure we help, particularly at a time when courts are shut down and the access to the judicial system is more limited. We have created at the state a way to get a restraining order without ever having to go to court. It can be done completely online, and I put the link to that in this post, but it's ctsafeconnect.org, which can help you through that. If you are a parent struggling with homeschooling your kids and feeding them and explaining to them why everybody's wearing masks around them and why they can't leave the house at certain times, and it's just too much to manage sometimes, this is something that I've put in my newsletter before, but we have the DCF, the Department of Children and Families, has created Talk It Out, which is, I put the link on there, but the link is talkitoutct.com. Where you can have access to somebody who can help you talk through those challenges and get to a better place. And finally, I wanted to highlight something that I think I did put in the newsletter earlier this week, which is a Neighbor to Neighbor Fund. This is through Berkshire Taconic, which is one of our community foundations, which serves both Litchfield County and also our neighboring counties in Massachusetts and New York. And this is a fund that can help with all these unexpected things that we are now facing in terms of food insecurity or any other sorts of basic needs, and you can access it through your town social worker. So I also put this on there. If you go to Berkshire Taconic has a list of town social worker resources that you can reach out to through. They are one of their challenges is actually we have a lot of people who aren't used to asking for help and aren't used to what resources might be available for them, and so they're searching for ways. So if you need help, or if you know of somebody else who might need a little bit of help, please reach out to your town social worker and see what can be done, because together I think we can actually do a lot for one another as we balance all of this difficult and affirming things. So there's a lot of positive things going on in our community. I highlighted the mask makers of the 5th District, which are doing just incredible work, but they're helping people who are dealing with really health-threatening and scary situations. So cheers to all of you who are out there balancing it all every day, and have a good weekend. Be safe, be kind, be well. Take care.